I straddled that thing. I'm pulling it from every direction. I ended up like with my arms on either side, with my legs on either side, pulling so hard I lost my balance and fell straight on my butt. And but I got it out of the way. So, gonna get into or well, I guess one embarrassing story today. One of the questions, which I decided to go with because this one memory kept coming up for me and it kept really just making me giggle, so I figured, hey, why not go with it? Um, the question was, what is your favorite quality about yourself? Um, I would say my favorite quality about myself, and it's one of the most beneficial things to me that has helped me most in my life so far, has been that I have per se a bite me attitude sometimes. And let me clarify what I'm talking about with this. So this is not talking about when it comes to authority figures or in my workplace or my relationships or anything like that. Um, Now you could probably talk to Steve and he'll laugh about that because depending on whether we're joking around, I very much have that attitude. Um, and you can ask my mother, and she will say that as a kid I was the most stubborn mule you would ever meet. Um, but in my workplace, I would never disrespect an authority figure. One of my supervisors, a coworker, anything like that. Or in my relationships, I wouldn't want to hurt the people that I love by having that attitude. So when I say I have that outlook, what I'm talking about is that when really difficult things have come my way, and I've had to go through a lot of hardships, or when it comes to maybe situations in my family, friends, getting through school, finding work, working through finances, any sort of life logistics, any sort of obstacles that come up, I do not back down very easily. I will admit my first go to is to back down. I will get very defeated very quickly. I will get very frustrated. Um, I will doubt myself a lot um, in that first initial reaction of stress, but I will always bounce back. Um, I will figure out a way to make it work, especially if it's something that I have to do, if it's a responsibility I have to carry out, if it's a goal that I have set, if it's something, say a commitment that I have to someone, I will make it work. I will find a way. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say I have that outlook. I'm not letting life take me down. And that has really helped me a huge amount. Um, and we're gonna get into that in some more detailed stories next month. I have an anniversary of a a pretty significant event coming up, and I'm hoping to maybe collaborate with a friend of mine who we went through the same thing during that same time. So we will get much more into detail with that. But yeah, it's something in me that really drives me, and I think that's something that everybody needs to a certain level. Um, when you're faced with any kind of situation and you have to find a solution, or you have someone depending on you, um, or you're depending on yourself, or you know that it maybe the outcome of your situation is going to be a large definition of your strength and your identity. It really is a huge driving force, and you find that you can get through things that you never thought you could, and if you take it one day at a time and you go, I will just do whatever I have to do today, or in this next hour, or for the next week, or my next shift, or whatever the case may be, you find that you do that enough times, and you're weeks, months, years down the road, and all of a sudden you've gotten past that obstacle, or you've gained a new skill, or you've overcome something huge, or you've reached a goal that you thought could never be attainable. And so when you don't have that, you really have every reason to back down. Probably the biggest thing that sticks out for me is nursing school. So for anybody who might be new, I am a registered nurse. I'm a baby nurse. I've only been graduated for 2 years. I was a nurse's assistant for 5 years. Before that, I worked in home care, and I now am a surgical RN. I had a general, kind of medical surgical history before that when I first graduated. And so I dealt with quite a few different things. I saw a lot of different illnesses, cases, ages, and it was really interesting. And like I said, I now work in the surgical realm. And it took me a long time to get through nursing school for various reasons. It took me 8 years from the time I began college to the day I graduated. And like I said, along with my friend who I really hope to collaborate with, we will get into the story as to why it took that long, and all the hardships involved with that. But that has been one of my greatest achievements so far. And I cannot even tell you how many times I sat down and I planned to quit. I researched other professions, other things I would be happy with. How many times I ranted and raved to my family, to Steve. Gosh, I mean, they have just heard it all. And I'm sure every time they probably thought, yeah, just get it all out. You're going to keep going, or just they knew I wasn't going to quit. But I mean, there was just so many different things, and so many things that I didn't think I could do, ways I didn't think physically I could keep going, mentally I didn't think I could keep going. I mean, I feel that I'm a normal person. I'm an average intelligence individual. I have a lot of common sense, but I am by far not a brainiac at all. That would be Steve. He's the brains of our relationship. He's just incredible. But and just logistics, trying to balance life, trying to keep a full-time job, trying to manage my illnesses, trying to keep up with the family, trying to pay for college all the way through, trying to do it all on a timeline, because if I didn't graduate in time, then I wouldn't have health insurance, and just so many different stressors. And I mean, I can't even bring up the words to describe how defeated I felt so many times, and the amount of information coming in that I struggled to retain, and just that, and trying to manage that balancing act of life during that time. And if I didn't have that attitude of, oh, watch me do it, you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it, then I wouldn't have graduated. And if I didn't have, the end responsibilities at stake and having to provide for myself at stake, of needing health insurance, of needing an income because I have to, supply for my medical needs and just, you know, just life as an adult, basically. I wouldn't have continued. That was my driving force. I knew I had to get it done. But so that's kind of more the serious end. But I mean, I swear, like I said, you can ask my family, you can ask Steve. It's any little thing. You tell me I can't do it, I'm gonna figure out a way to do it, and I'm gonna figure out a way to do it well. And I think that's what's really helped me be successful in the workplace. Also, I like to collaborate with people if there's something we really need to get done. If we have a time crunch on something, I like to, figure out a way to get it done well. If there's a problem, I like to figure out how we can fix it, so that everything just runs so much more smoothly. And especially for my patients, I think it's been helpful when problems have come up. I remember a case quite a while ago where I had a patient who, all night long, I was in communication with multiple different staff members in an effort to get him seizure medication because it had been a very overwhelming night, and he had been in poor condition, and I mean, there was no way I was leaving that shift without getting him that medication, because I knew if he didn't have it, what the results were going to be, and how much worse he was going to be. Just partially from my education and partially because I've seen it in my own family. And so I'm so thankful that I have that drive and that determination and that unwillingness to back down, because in the end we were successful and we got him his medication, and he was so much better by the time I left. And it was just so great to see him feeling so well and smiling and different things like that. And so kind of getting into the story that made me want to do this topic in the first place, I think I was packing up my room. I think I was moving, actually. I think I had already graduated nursing school, and so I was moving out of my parents' house and trying to get to the garage. And if you see our garage area, it gets crazy at times. That's kind of our stock area, where everything that we want to go to Goodwill, that needs to go in the attic, that we don't want anymore, that needs to make a dump run, that's where it all goes. So I'm trying to get to the garage, and there's this huge mattress blocking the whole doorway, and I can't get past it. So I asked one of my little brothers, I think, to come and help me or to do something, and I get back there and I see this mattress, and I go, oh, great. And so I start to move it, and he looks at me and he goes, you can't move that. And I looked at him and I said, you watch me move it. Yes, I can. And he walked away. He gave up on me. He walked away and was just like, all right, well, you figure it out. I sat there for probably a good 5-10 minutes trying to figure out how to get this stupid mattress out of the way, because it actually was really heavy. And I straddled that thing. I'm pulling it from every direction. I ended up with my arms on either side, with my legs on either side, pulling so hard I lost my balance and fell straight on my butt. But I got it out of the way. I finally did it. I got what I needed, and I put the mattress back, and I did it all by myself. So I don't mind making a fool of myself to get done what needs to happen. And so the main story that came up with this was way long ago. Gosh, how old was I? And I just went to my parents' house last night to get these pictures that I'm going to pop up on the screen. What did the photo album say? I think it was 99, so I was 4 years old. And And also what brought this up is I was speaking with a patient, I was checking her in, getting her ready for surgery, and her poor little hands were so bruised. And she was very young. A lot of times I see that, and patients are on blood thinners, but they're usually very elderly. And so I looked at her and I said, "Oh, what happened to your poor hands?" And she goes, "Oh, I was setting up a sprinkler on the trampoline for my kids." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, tell me the story," because we had a trampoline our whole life growing up, and it was the best thing ever. And that was kind of the other question that sparked this, was I saw a card that said, "What was your favorite thing to do at recess?" And every single day, I swear, we were out in the backyard on the trampoline. We loved that thing. We would be out there with the sprinkler. We would we'd get in the pool and then dry off. We'd just lay out there in the sun. We would get out there in the snow, especially, it was so fun when it hailed, and then you could bounce around and just the hail would go everywhere. We would go out there sometimes with blankets and pillows and either spend the night or just watch meteor showers. We could always see the fireworks on 4th of July. Gosh, yeah, we'd go out there. All 8 of us kids would get out on the trampoline, and we had all sorts of games we made up. I remember Fireball was our favorite, which leads into this story. You know, some of us would just take books and have our quiet reading time out there. It's the best thing for kids, I swear, to have a trampoline. It's just amazing. Anyway, so we were talking about that, and that just brought back this memory. So I'm 4 years old at the time, 1999, and we're all out on the trampoline. All of us kids are out playing Fireball, which is this game. You get a basketball, throw it on the trampoline, and everybody gets on. And you have to stay on your hands and knees. We had this rule. If you had 2 people on the trampoline, you could be on your feet, but otherwise you had to be on your hands and knees because it would get so taut that it could really hurt you. So everybody's on their hands and knees bouncing around, and if the ball touched you, you died. And you had to lay down for however many seconds. I don't remember what it was. And so we took a break for a minute. I think one of the boys had to tie their shoe or something. I, of course, being the stubborn mule that I am, and defiant at the time, if we want to call it that, decided to stand up, break the rules, and kind of started bouncing around, kind of started moving around a little bit. And I was successful. Got a little too confident, did a big bounce, and I don't even know where my leg broke, but I just remember seeing my leg fly up into my face. I want to say it was below my knee. I think it just snapped somewhere. I don't even know, but yeah, so my leg snapped, flew up in my face. Oh, it hurt. So, go to the hospital, get a cast. I don't even know what they bound it up with at first. I would have to, now I'm curious. I have the pictures and I want to look at them closer now that I'm a nurse and I have seen the materials before. I'm like, wait a second, what did they bind this up with? I need to ask Steve because he worked emergency room for a long time. He was a medic in the Army, and so he would know because he did all of that. And so... And some of these pictures, I was just laughing last night. I mean, it's not even funny because this was the time I had gotten confused. I thought that one of my medication allergies had come from, or this particular medication allergy, I thought had come from when I had seizures for about, I think it was 6 months or a year after my stroke when I was a little girl. But now that I think about it, I was 5 years old, which was a year after this. So that doesn't even make sense. But so my parents just clarified last night. They go, no, that came from this. So after I left the hospital, they apparently gave me an adult dose of a pain medication. And I was hallucinating like crazy. And so I'm sitting there. And so even though it's sad, and of course it was dangerous for this little 4-year-old to have an adult dose of pain medication, these pictures are just so pathetic, and I'm sitting there just sobbing, and my face is bright red, but I have my ice cream. So I should have been a happy girl, because I love my ice cream. Yeah, so it brought back some memories that were kind of funny. But they put me in a hard cast, and I don't know if it was the way my knee needed to heal up, or if my mom just knew what a stubborn mule I was and how determined I could be. Um, but they put me in a hard cast. It had to be hot pink, the only way it was acceptable, that was bent. And so they had it bent at my knee, and then also bent at my foot. So I was like, I could only like stand on my tiptoes. And now that I think about it, it probably was because they only wanted me to be either non-weight bearing or toe touch at the most. So I got this hard cast, and I totally forgot about some of these pictures where, we were out golfing, we were out having play dates with our friends, we were having bonfires, and so, I'm so determined to go that they, my dad's carrying me everywhere, or I'm riding along in a stroller or something like that. However, although I was supposed to be non-weight bearing, and so just sitting down all the time, maybe, and being a kid, they probably didn't even want me touching my toe down to even go to the bathroom. They probably wanted mom or dad to carry me. I, very cleverly, I think, figured out that I could walk around and sweep the yard and go to church and weed the garden and pull my vegetables and do anything else I wanted if I put on a pair of my princess heels, because it then made my leg that was in a cast level with my other foot. And so my mom, she will still tell the story to this day as like just the overall summary of my stubbornness and how crazy I am. Sometimes she does tell it in a proud way, in that it kind of summarizes that, like I said, that kind of, oh, watch me, bite me. Like, if I have something I want to get done and I have a goal, it's gonna happen. And I'm not gonna back down. And that makes her proud, and so she will just always tell that story in that context. But yeah, a lot of times it's just to mock me and talk about how crazy I was as a kid. One of the other, I was telling Steve today, we were talking on the phone, and I said, I was going between two topics, and one of them, it was more about my workplace and my job and the things that are very special to me, and so it was kind of more of that heartfelt, touching kind of thing. But this, I just had to share because it kept making me laugh. And I'm like, if it makes you laugh, you gotta go with it. Especially if it's embarrassing. I mean, at least for you guys. Maybe it was boring, I don't know, but who doesn't want to hear an embarrassing story? That's always fun. So, I hope this wasn't too boring. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking about it and going over old memories. It's just, everything from my crazy moments to our times as kids and all the things we enjoyed. Like I said, favorite time at recess, or our quote recess, because we were homeschooled. Again, for anyone who doesn't know me, I have got to remember to keep going back and clarifying some of those details. All 8 of us kids, we were homeschooled, but every day we did have a quote recess time. At 11:30, we took a break from our school and everybody went outside in the backyard. We could either take a walk around the neighborhood, or, like I said, if we wanted to take a book, we could do that, get on the swings, run around the yard. We had all sorts of crazy games that we made up on our own, which a bunch of the other homeschool families knew. It was like, I don't know, it was this weird thing we had where everybody kind of made up the same games, but they were super fun. But yeah, so kind of going over those memories, it was great. Tomorrow when I go over to my parents' house after church, it's kind of sparked that desire to dig through all the old photo albums. My mom is a huge picture person. She will snap 1,000 pictures, which I love, because, then we have all these memories to look back on. So I want to go through all those old photo albums and look through everything. And I think that might even bring up some more stories for next week. So I guess I should bring a notebook too. So for anybody, anyone who gets on this video, please do like, share, subscribe, comment. And if you do comment, please do leave, maybe a little story about what your favorite quality is about yourself. I would love to hear that about you guys, because I think for anyone who's close to me, I have the things about you that are my favorite things, or that I see that stand out most as your strengths. Um, but I would love to hear what you think your greatest strength is, and maybe even a little story behind that. It would be great to hear, and especially for anybody who's crazy like me and is maybe whether you want to call it defiant or just strong and determined. I would love to hear who else out there is in that bandwagon with me, and I hope to see you guys next week and hopefully have some other maybe crazy stories, maybe some touching stories, but we'll see what happens.